Wealth creation. To have confidence in your prudent, diversified investment strategy, you have to know how wealth is created. It's not created by the governments or the fearmongers or the greedmeisters or the prognosticators or all those guys. Wealth is created by entrepreneurs, businesses, scientists, engineers, workers working every single minute of every single day, giving us safer transportation, faster communications, miracle drugs and medical devices, more powerful computers, and millions of new products and services that are better and cheaper and longer lasting. You know, look at your car back in the 1970s and look at your car today. Not even a comparison. No comparison. So these are the 4 things that I'm going to be covering on how wealth is created and why we think wealth is created. First is population increases. We know that the world is getting more and more populous, right? 1 billion to 2 billion. It took 123 years to get to 2 billion, and then only 33 years to get to 3 billion. And then the alarm bells started going off. Then 4 billion in 14 years, 5 billion in 13 years, 6 billion in 12 years, 7 billion we crossed in 2011 in 12 years. When will we get to 8? Well, on the internet nowadays, you can get this population count. So we're at near 7.6 billion now in 2018. This has nothing to do with the class. I just thought it was interesting. It was on the same page. China has 1.4 billion. India has almost 1.3 billion. The next most populous country, 325 million in the US. Is that crazy? This is what's happening. You know, it's a slow increase, and then the world started growing. And then right here is where the alarm bells started going off. In the 1960s, cover of Time magazine, the population explosion. And then this guy, Paul Ehrlich, in 1968, wrote this book, The Population Bomb. Population control or race to oblivion. This guy was so famous when he wrote this book that Johnny Carson took a whole hour show on late night to interview this guy. People were scared. This is some of the things that it warned of mass starvation of humans in the 1970s and 80s due to overpopulation, as well as other major societal upheavals, and advocated immediate action to limit population growth. Here's a quote from the book. The battle to feed all of humanity is over. In the 1970s, the world will undergo famines, and hundreds of millions of people are going to starve to death. Fast forward to 2018, and the obesity rate in the US is amongst the highest in the world. When he wrote the book, the population was 3.8 billion. Population today, 7.6 billion. The problem with pessimists like Ehrlich and all the other guys that predict doom and gloom is they ignore lessons from history, the human ingenuity and the ability to solve problems. It's there. Happens through mutating technology and innovation. So I started researching, well, how did we solve this crisis that we were going to, from starving to death to feeding billions of people, and we're going to be able to feed billions more? It's not a problem. I started researching it, and I found this thing called food science. Now, in the back of my mind, I kind of knew it existed, but did you really know it existed? No, food science. Fascinating. There's actually millions of people working around the world to make sure that we have food available to us.
Many people probably don't realize we have 7 billion people on the planet at this moment in time. So that the application of food science is becoming even more important as the world population expands. Within the next 50 years, it's expected to rise to 9 or 10 billion. You know, a world without food science would be a very difficult one. We would have a severe shortage of food all around the world, in that we wouldn't understand how to preserve or prolong food. It is not possible to preserve and transport and store raw agricultural products without the application of food science. If we didn't have the scientific understanding of our food and agricultural products, we wouldn't have even simple products such as milk or juice available in our supermarkets. It would only really be available at the point of production. Something as simple as orange juice. Many parts of the population consume every day of their lives with probably little understanding of everything that goes on in the background to ensure that product is available so frequently, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 52 weeks of the year in our supermarkets. When it comes to the availability of food, we really can't turn back the hands of time. The modern consumer really wants safe, nutritious food on the go, and that is really the very important role of food science in the future.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I don't have time to show them today, maybe in some other class, but I've got all kinds of videos on a day in the life of a food scientist. It's actually fascinating what they actually do behind the scenes for us. So we will solve the world's problems. And with more and more people, we've got a bunch of people working together to solve the world's problems.